Welcome to Module 4 of the IBC video series for the public. Later in this series, I will present how I am personally using IBC to pass wealth to my future generations. Before I get into that strategy, I want to share how one must approach the infinite banking concept so that when you look at life insurance illustrations and various cash flow models and compare insurance companies, you'll better understand the meaning of the numbers and how they relate to what I call the essence of IBC. My hope is that I will help you see the numbers through Nelson Nash's eyes. This slender volume is what started it all. In this session, I will refer to this important book a couple of times. You don't need to have read it to follow my discussion today, but keep in mind that our video series is not a substitute for getting and reading this important book. Nelson wrote that his best-selling book was the text for a 10-hour course about the power of dividend-paying whole life insurance. However, he didn't lead off his course talking about whole life insurance. He led off with telling us that the infinite banking concept is an exercise in imagination, in reason, logic, and prophecy. He suggested that the seminar attendee approach this course with an open mind. Becoming Your Own Banker was published in the year 2000, when even more so than now, IBC was a radical paradigm shift in financial thinking. Initially, Nelson unsuccessfully tried to get his brilliant concept across in a 2.5-hour presentation. But through trial and error, he concluded that he needed a full 10-hour seminar to get the audience to rethink their thinking. And to fully grasp this paradigm, one had to approach IBC by using their imagination, reason, and logic. And because of Nelson's deep-rooted Christian beliefs, prophecy. Quote, "By reason and logic we die hourly. By imagination we live." This is written by the Irish poet W.B. Yeats. And like Yeats, Nash resurrected an age-old dichotomy between our ability to make sense of the world around us and our ability to see beyond what meets the eye. Some suggest that this corresponds to the idea of the seen and the unseen of IBC. If you marginalize the importance of this approach, then an understanding of the concept was probably going to take a much longer period, if ever fully understood and accepted. Well, what is the alternative? The easy road is to focus on the numbers, the insurance policy illustrations and policy designs, and even the internal rates of return, all of which can lead to what Nelson quoted as saying, majoring in the minors. It's also helpful to focus on the meaning of the three words, infinite, banking, and concept, and to understand how they relate to one another. Nelson chose these words very carefully, but many overlook their importance or marginalize them as just a marketing label. When from the beginning, the answer was always there, although not appreciated as a simple but accurate description of a personal economic way of life. He chose infinite because there is no limit on how you can use your policies. They can provide financing for all of life's major needs, to include funding cars, paying for educations, weddings, business equipment, and even funding investments. They also provide an outstanding vehicle to transfer wealth to successive generations. Properly designed IBC policies are a place to warehouse your wealth. And surprise, there are numerous ways in how a policy can be designed. The key to design follows this simple rule. Does the chosen policy design adhere to Nelson's 5 simple rules for IBC as applied to that specific consumer? What are the 5 rules? Well, the first one is to think long range. Number 2, don't be afraid to capitalize. Number 3, do not steal from your system. 4, don't do business with banks. And 5, rethink your thinking. Here's an example of what I mean. The word infinite can also describe a system of many policies. Why many? Well, they can increase the pool of insured people, and they can provide greater flexibility when repaying policy loans. This depicts a diagram on page 38 in Becoming Your Own Banker. It shows a scale of policies that depicts the different life insurance purchase plans available at the time the book was written. The overall objective should be simply to get as much money as possible into a policy with the least amount of insurance or death benefit, while applying Nelson's rules. Is the policy owner thinking long range? Or are they only concerned with the first 10 years of a policy performance? Is their plan to use their policies to pass wealth to their successive generations? If the consumer is looking at the generational strategy, then they are genuinely thinking long range and probably should consider the longest premium paying product available. Say a life paid up at 121 years might be the best option. Why? Because the longer the policy's premiums are contractually able to be paid, then it stands to reason there's more opportunity to capitalize your system while using it repeatedly and to pass it on to several successive generations while it's still being funded. I'll discuss the remainder of Nelson's 5 rules in later modules. Nelson used the word banking as an adjective. It's a descriptor for the word concept. Have you heard this before? Let me make it abundantly clear. I am not talking about a bank in the conventional sense of the word. Please understand that specifically behaving like a banker is the central theme of the book. Isn't the title Becoming Your Own Banker? 5 chapters that are routinely skimmed over are devoted to what Nelson calls the human problem or human behavior. Nelson believed that the human problems were the most important part of this book. He labeled them as Parkinson's Law, Willie Sutton's Law, the Golden Rule, the Arrival Syndrome, and Use It or Lose It. I don't have time to get into them right now, and I urge you to review them in the book later. Why did he place so much emphasis on them? Well, I believe it's because if you can't overcome these natural laws, then it does not matter how well the banking policy is designed, how high the rate of return is for that specific company, or how large their dividend scale is. Simply put, the behavior of the policy owner is more important than that of the insurance company. Recognizing the human problems is half the battle. One never fully conquers them, but if one is trending in the right direction, progress is assured. The result? A peaceful, stress-free life. Nelson coined the phrase, there are 2 vocations one should be involved with, your primary occupation and banking. Getting back to the 3 words that make up infinite banking concept, Nelson thought that the third one, concept, was the most important. A concept is something that is an understanding retained in the mind from experience, reasoning, and imagination. Well, it sounds like we're back to the beginning. I think the most important takeaway is how you think and how successful you are in identifying your human problems and eventually overcoming them. I said earlier in this video that Nelson wrote that Becoming Your Own Banker is the text for his course about the power of dividend-paying whole life insurance. So, it is fair to assume that the focus of the book and the seminar would be on this product. This is unfortunate because life insurance is not the essence of IBC, and dwelling on the life insurance topic creates a myopic view of IBC, leading to unnecessary bantering with much of the focus on number comparisons. Typical arguments revolve around which is the best permanent whole life policy design, and which mutual or mutual holding insurance company is the best choice to implement this strategy. To better understand what I mean, when looking at the bottom of page 47 in Becoming Your Own Banker, you'll see a description of the policy as illustrated. The total premium here is $5,000, of which $3,030 is the base premium, and $1,970 is the paid-up additions rider premium. The ratio between the rider, the PUA, and the base, as depicted here, is approximately 60% base compared to 40% PUA. When added together, they equal 100% of the contract premium. The point of contention is which is best, 60% base premium coupled with a 40% paid-up additions rider premium, or something more aggressively skewed, such as a policy with a 10% base and a 90% PUA. My answer to this contentious subject is that one approaches IBC from Nelson's perspective, then you will see that most of this is just bantering, just noise, and has no real importance at all. The permanent whole life policy design answer will be clear, as will the life insurance company choice, if you approach this from Nelson's conceptual point of view. Secondly, it is critically important to realize that dividend-paying whole life insurance is the platform that this concept or banking process is built on. We are not describing permanent insurance as an asset class to invest in, nor are we comparing internal rates of return with other asset class products. Although when you do finally get into the numbers, you will fully appreciate the solid, uninterrupted compounding of this product. Obviously, one could create an alternative bank using other means, such as a rusted coffee can stuffed full of cash buried in the backyard. But Nelson demonstrated that the permanent whole life contract was the ultimate vehicle for privatized banking. So, let's review. The right approach to understanding this concept is to use your imagination, use logic, reason, and prophecy. Also, the relationship of the three words infinite, banking, concept must be understood to appreciate their significance. The concept is hinged on human behavior, becoming or acting like a banker, and ultimately identifying and overcoming the human problems outlined in the book is critical to implementing infinite banking. Banking is a process, not a product. Dividend-paying whole life insurance is the platform that the concept or process uses. If you do not understand the concept, then designing and using the platform could be problematic. Follow Nelson's 5 rules for IBC when considering the right policy design. In a nutshell, you must change the way you think and start by understanding the problem so that the solution will be obvious. This concludes the 4th module of our online course. This is the end of the free modules. You will need to follow the link on the screen to register for the remaining 8. I want to remind you that this course is not a substitute for reading Nelson's book, Becoming Your Own Banker. And finally, if you are ready to implement infinite banking in your life, I urge you to seek out and use an authorized IBC practitioner. These financial professionals are graduates of our training program and are listed as a public resource on the Nelson Nash Institute website. We hope you benefited and enjoyed this content. And we want you to learn more. We hope you want to learn more. There's 9 remaining videos, and you can register for those on our course site. Also, check out our other resources that are available on infinitebanking.org and lauramurphy.com.
Now, I want to stress that when you've come to the point where you're ready to meet with a financial professional to see how you can implement IBC based on your own personal circumstances, that you use one of the graduates of our IBC practitioner program. To find a list of our graduates and where they're located, go to the website infinitebanking.org/finder.
Well, we sincerely want to thank you for your time and your interest, and we want to wish you all the best in your future learning.